Zainab Saeed. There seems to be utter chaos brewing at the United Nations conference right now in Costa Rica. Some delegates within the environment program are failing to see eye to eye. Countries such as the Maldives, China, Russia, South Africa, and others have issued a protest note against the U.S. and its failure to further climate change talks.
We have called your attention because we feel compelled to raise your awareness about the uncooperative spirit of the United States of America in the United Nations Environmental Program regarding the follow-up to the Copenhagen Climate Change Summit. The United States is the second largest greenhouse gas emitter and a potential driver in clean technology innovation, and therefore its lack of cooperation to achieve a legally binding enforcement program, and at the very least to support effective emissions reductions, is detrimental to the entire system. Due to the gravity of the climate change situation, as well as the urgency to turn Copenhagen agreements into action, we publicly express our grievance and appeal to the commitment of all member countries of the United Nations to support our efforts in tackling the common threat of climate change.
The U.S. has not sat back in silence in the wake of these claims. Al Jazeera spoke to the delegate, and here's what the U.S. has to say.
First, I want to thank Al Jazeera for providing me with this opportunity to express our tremendous disappointment that these delegates have such a skewed interpretation of our policies and statements. We, representing the American people who believe in democracy and self-reliance, are making realistic, responsible, and honest commitments based on our current economic and political situations.
And what does the U.S. have to say in regards to effective emissions reductions?
I think we're making realistic and responsible commitments rather than many delegates are doing, which is unrealistic and naive.
Thank you, Honorable Delegate. So there you have it, the U.S.'s rebuttal. We will bring you updated information regarding this situation by the end of the day. Can this deadlock within the Environment Program be resolved? Well, at this point, no one knows, but stay tuned to Al Jazeera to find out. I'm Zainab Saeed.
The former leader was buried on Sunday near
KBS News Live, I'm Hyun-Min Kim. In the wake of the earthquake that hit Sri Lanka yesterday, the Human Rights Council currently at UN conference in Costa Rica met to discuss the Jaffna Peninsula emergency. The Council had to come up with a resolution on how to deal with the human rights violations going on in the Jaffna Peninsula. As we reported yesterday, the Sri Lankan government refused any international aid to the Tamil people. Our reporter Shihyun was at the conference meeting and she brings us the latest.
Thousands have died due to earthquake and many remain without food and water. There are also reports that many women have been raped and killed in what seems to be a planned strategy by the Sri Lanka government. This is KBS Live News in Human Rights Council, Costa Rica. We are going to talk with Amy Laws, the representative Mexico, right?
Correct.
Hello. Regarding to humanitarian aid in Sri Lanka, what was the final solution based on Sri Lanka?
Yes, the Human Council was very upset to learn about the earthquake in Sri Lanka. We met extensively today to discuss the issue, and we created a resolution calling for the government to accept humanitarian aid in the country and for the international community to be in solidarity with Sri Lanka as they work to reconstruct their country.
The Council has strongly recommended the government of Sri Lanka open its borders to allow humanitarian aid. It looks like for now the Council can only issue condemning statements against the Sri Lanka government. The delegates have not discussed any resolution considering human rights violations going on in Sri Lanka and how they can be stopped. Kim?
Hopefully, there will be a good resolution out of this conference soon. KBS Live News, I'm Hyun-Min Kim.
BBC World, putting news first.
Good afternoon. This is BBC News. I'm Jane Hill. Yesterday's UN conference meetings were nothing short of controversial as the Security Council failed to push forward agendas to take decisive action on the emerging crisis in Sri Lanka. Many are asking, how long must the suffering people of Sri Lanka wait while the UN dissolves its rhetoric and stops its dilly-dallying? BBC News correspondent Noku is in the field with Security Council delegates to find out the latest of the developments. Stay with us.
Thank you, Jane. The day ended without the Security Council resolution on what needs to be done in Sri Lanka.
So Nigeria's position was that we need to first send a fact-finding delegation and a mission to negotiate first with the government of Sri Lanka so as to allow the UN to go in peacefully, but not with force.
As the Council goes into the last day of the conference, the decision on whether to intervene in Sri Lanka to save the Tamil people is yet to be reached. That's Noku Mweli from BBC News. Thank you.
This is Fox News. I'm Christy Kirsty. The UN Security Council is still deliberating on how to proceed in wake of the most recent Sri Lankan crisis. Many people are losing patience. Cogniti Dissonance is in the field, where yesterday a crowd of dissidents gathered to protest Security Council inaction. Let's go to his footage and see what he saw.
This is Cogniti Dissonance for Fox News outside the Security Council meeting, where our sources have indicated a protest of massive proportions is about to take place. We'll have more of that for you in just a few minutes. Fox News.
Chaos, mayhem, uncontrollable hippie violence. This was in response yesterday to the United Nations Security Council's inaction on the Sri Lanka crisis, and as you can see, it was well out of control.
So do you have a statement to make about your protest?
Yeah, I do. The ones here in power, they're only talking and they're only blocking it for national interest. But they're not respecting the rights of the people. Nor do they respect human dignity or anything that should be in common sense. It's a disgrace. The world, the economy, the people, they're all being sacrificed on the altar of national interest. That sucks.
Stop the femicide! Stop the femicide!
Will you give us a statement
Stop
about your protest?
Femicide! Women's bodies are not a battleground!
This is the devastation left behind.
I'm Cogniti Dissonance for Fox News, and you saw it here. Chaos in the ranks at the United Nations Conference.
There you have it, folks. It's raining hippies in Costa Rica. If only they had the organization and composure of our tea parties. That's all for now. We will see you soon on Fox News. I'm Christy Kirsty.